What's up, Mirrorless Geekers? Today we have Kitty from Atoll of Visuals, and we're going to find out about her story and a little bit about gear and tips and tricks and that sort of thing. So first of all, how did your journey start?
My journey from where? From YouTube, from the internets, from filmmaking?
Yeah, just filmmaking in
Oh,
general, yeah.
well, I went to film school in Chicago at Columbia College. It's like a big art school. I've always wanted to go to art school, but before that, I just didn't know what my major was going to be. I just knew it had to be something creative. And I was very inspired because me and my dad would always watch feature films together. We would go to Family Video and Blockbuster. I don't even know if those things are still around, but yeah, we were big movie buffs. And I wanted to find like an art that I could make money off of. Not that you can't make money off of different types of art, but I felt like that was the best route for me at the time. And then thank God like YouTube came about at the right time because I figured like I was going to move to LA and have to start from the bottom and work as a PA and work my way up into becoming like a DP because I majored in cinematography. But yeah, the YouTubes happened, the social media happened, and I really enjoy doing like short videos. I love doing marketing videos. So that's kind of what I do now. But I've done everything. I'm not really a big fan of weddings. I love doing event shoots, like I said, marketing shoots, working with brands. But yeah, that's what I do now.
Cool. What is it about the marketing side that interests you the most?
Ooh, the marketing side. Well, the fact that you get to play with new things is always fun. It feels like Christmas every day. But I'm really interested on like the psychology of people and how they think and why they do the things that they do. It's always been an interest for me. So incorporating like art, creativity, and psychology, I feel like mixes into marketing videos.
Yeah, totally. And I guess when it comes to being creative and that sort of thing, what motivates you the most?
Hmm. There's a lot. It depends.
Mm.
So, my emotions motivate me a lot, believe it or not. When I'm not feeling good, I don't want to do anything. But then when there's like a cause I really want to talk about, I'll like want to somehow create something from that. So, life experiences, emotions, something I read that was really interesting, and then like I guess the more that you see in life and read about or look on Instagram or YouTube, you just combine it and take little pieces and put your personal story on it and you create this new thing. And I feel like that's really exciting and motivating. And also, like, AFAM motivates me every day. I just love talking to them and listening to their stories and what they have to say on things.
Yeah, 100%. And there's so many platforms out there at the moment. You've got, your YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and that sort of thing. And um, I'm just wondering, you've built a really powerful brand for yourself, Tola Visuals. Can you give some of the mirrorless geekers some advice on to how to build your own brand on social media?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of tips. It's hard. I mean, I've changed. I remember when I first started YouTube, it was more of like a creative outlet because I was working for someone else.
Mm.
And then I just wanted to play with gear online and do reviews at the time. And we changed our name so many times. I think like three different times. And it took me 7 months to create a toll of visuals. And I feel like that name means so much to me now that I've like grown with it and just having like a mission and a reason for why you're doing it in the first place and your purpose is very important. But I feel like a lot of people now want to build their personal brand. And people have told me like, "Oh, are you ever going to change Atola Visuals to like Kitty Marie?" And I'm like, "No, because my goals are kind of different. Eventually like I want to build like maybe a company or maybe take a behind the scenes in the future and not be the forefront all the time." So I guess it depends what you want to do. You really have to like sit down and think of like your business strategies and your mission and I guess your goals in the future. So definitely I feel like think about those things first before starting anything, but you could always change it. I'm like still changing what my business strategies are like every few months or every few years. But yeah, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of reflecting, it's a lot of trial and error and seeing what you like best and what you want to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. And if you think about the past and when you first started up until now, If you could rewind the clock and tell yourself something, a piece of advice for when you first started, what would that advice be?
I just don't like, honestly, we're human and we do make a lot of mistakes, but at the same time, I feel like I don't regret anything. But at the same time, too, like I wish I started YouTube a lot sooner because I feel like I would have gained so many more opportunities by now. But I feel like everyone's life journey is different. People like to focus on their careers early on, but when I was younger, I just wanted to hang out with friends and party. And then now I'm like, okay, I want to situate myself and then kind of grow in my career. But yeah, I feel like that would be the one thing is probably wish I started YouTube sooner. But I feel like in general,
Yeah.
it all turned out really well. I'm very happy with how things are right now.
And I guess we get a lot of people that are starting out doing video and photography and stuff like that, but there seems to be a lot of barriers to creativity, being like motivation and gear and that sort of thing. What would you tell someone that wants to start out doing this? Yeah.
Yeah, when you're first starting out, I feel like try everything. It's a very cliche thing to do, but you don't need the best gear. You don't need the best camera. Everyone has a camera phone, and I even made a video because people always ask me like, "What's the best camera to get?" And I feel like if you don't even know what camera to get or what lens you need to get, you really have to invest time in learning like composition and lighting and framing and storytelling. I feel like those things are way more important than what gear you have or like I don't know what to talk about, are people going to watch it? Like don't even worry about that stuff. I feel like focus on the fundamentals first, like I mentioned. Use your phone if that's all you have because you're going to like learn so much faster and eventually those techniques will carry out through all of your projects in the future regardless of how much gear you have. So yeah, focus on storytelling, lighting, composition, and like what interests you. Tell stories about what speaks to you and what you want to say, because then you'll be so invested in that project instead of like what's the trendy thing to talk about now. You like won't find happiness that way, you know?
Yeah,
Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I guess there are some creators out there that, you know, blow up really quickly and some that don't. Have you identified like the difference between the ones that kind of grow quickly versus the ones that don't?
I feel like, especially with YouTube, the ones that grow really quickly have a really big personality. They're really good spokespeople. They're really good on camera. They know how to communicate their message, or they're really good teachers. So I feel like personality is really big on those type of platforms because I've seen people who are really smart and know the technicalities and the tech specs and everything about every camera, but they don't grow as fast. So I feel like that really matters. But I don't have that big growth spurt. I'm like this slow climb, which is fine because I feel like I'd freak out if I all of a sudden jumped to 1 million subscribers. I'd be like, whoa, what am I doing? I have so much pressure. So yeah.
And in terms of, you mentioned all the technical side of filmmaking. What is like the golden tip that you could give someone in terms of filmmaking technique?
Filmmaking techniques. There's so many though.
Yeah, what's like the most important one that you find that's really accelerated you?
There's so many though. The one thing. Let me think. I mean, it's cliche to talk about story, but that's always important. I feel like, just relating, like knowing your audience and relating to them in some way is very important. And still not losing yourself at the same time. So, yeah, it depends because there's so many types of videos, you know. There's travel videos, there's wedding videos, there's documentaries.
Like in terms of the kinds of content that you make?
Techniques. I feel like I keep thinking of lighting, but
Yeah.
lighting is very important though. And audio is very important, and camera like angles are important, but I feel like the message is the most important still.
Yeah, definitely. I
So
guess
you
like
have
we're
to
all
know, yeah.
human. We're all human, right? So the message really resonates.
Yeah, the message and connecting to the audience, I feel like, is a very valuable technique. And so it's like pre-production, learning how to plan and carry that out is very important. And then all the other stuff is kind of just like a tool to help you show your message and carry out your emotions.
Are you like a strong planner when it comes to coming up with something to film, or do you kind of go off your gut feeling?
I really enjoy the pre-production process. I love coming up with ideas. I have a whole Asana list of all these ideas that I want to do that I'm never going to have time to complete, which is unfortunate. So maybe in the future I could have a team and I'll be like, do this idea, do a video on this idea. But yeah, right now it's hard. But yeah, most of the time I plan a lot of my videos. I like thinking of like the locations, the shoot days, writing out the bullet points of what I'm going to say. But then there's also times where it's like, NAB. I'll do like event coverage at NAB, or I'll go traveling somewhere and you have no idea what you're going to do. And then the story comes out after you film everything, so you could talk about like what you learned. And but I feel like that really stresses me out. It gives me way more anxiety when I run and gun stuff and I don't have a plan. So I like having my shot list. I could run through my shot list, get the most important things that I need to shoot. And then if I have extra time, I could be more creative because I can shoot for like 12 hours nonstop. And then it's just like a mess, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very important to be organized.
And what sort of tips can you give for the editing side of things? So you've got all your footage, and then it comes down to editing. What's something that you've learned there?
Yeah, editing. That is like my hardest part of the process. I never enjoy it, even though I like tried everything. I've tried Final Cut, Premiere Pro, Resolve. I've upgraded my PC, made my desk all fancy, thinking like, oh, okay, this is gonna make me love editing more. But it's never the same. It's always a tedious process. And I think because I talked about it on Twitter the other day, I was like, why is editing the hardest part of the process? And someone mentioned because we just have to make too many decisions. You know, there's so many different ways you could edit a video, but I feel like what helps is definitely the pre-production process part of it, where you like say where your bullet points are, and then I usually break it up into 2 columns when I'm planning it out. So it's like my A roll, what I'm saying, and then next to that A roll is the B roll that I'm trying to film. So then when it comes to editing, or I have like 2 editors too, I could send them that document and they'll know exactly where things need to be. So that'll save you a ton of time. I've also tried teleprompting, which is not my favorite thing, but it does save on editing. If you're really shy in camera and you don't really know how to like speak to it, I think beginning out, maybe try a teleprompter, but it's very inauthentic. Like you could tell you're reading off a screen.
Yeah.
But editing that took like 20 minutes.
Wow.
So there's some benefit.
Yeah. And moving on to gear, what are you currently shooting with and why?
Well, right now we're on the Nikon Z6. It's my favorite full frame camera at the moment because of its low light capabilities, the colors. It's like really crispy. I don't know what it is, the grip on it too, the battery life. I just really enjoy shooting on Nikon, which I thought I never would because I don't know. When you think of Nikon, you think of like old school photography, like the OGs who shoot on Nikon, right? But now it's like an actual video camera. What? And then I also recently just got the Fuji X-T4, which I've been super excited about. It's not full frame, but I don't know. There's 4K 60 on it. It's like my first flip out screen. I have an RX 100, which flips up this way, but I don't know. It's not really the same as like flipping out to the side. So that's quite interesting. And I just love like the Fuji body build. It's very vintagey and like nostalgic of like film cameras. So I really enjoy that. And I enjoy like photography cameras that are now looking more into like the video market. So yeah, I still have my Sonys. I still have my old XH1. I'm waiting for the XH2 to come out. So yeah, right now I'm mostly on Nikon and Fuji's.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I like to joke with my friends, and I call myself like a tech hoe because I want like all the cameras. Because most of my friends are like diehard Sony fanboys or Canon fanboys, and I'm just like, no, I want all of them. They all do different things, you know. There's not one camera that does it all, so you need them all.
Yeah, I guess with the mirrorless cameras and especially the gear that you can get for video, it's getting pretty intense with like the whole wireless side of things and everything now, and gimbals and that sort of thing. Do you use like gimbals yourself?
Oh yeah, people have called me the gimbal queen because I have like, I don't even know, like over 10 gimbal reviews on YouTube. It was getting ridiculous. I think at one point I had like 7 gimbals, and I'm just like, what am I doing with all these? I don't need this many. Maybe 2. Two's even a lot, but two's good enough. You need like a small travel size gimbal. So right now I mostly use the Moza Aircross 2, the white one, which I think is very interesting. I feel like a lot of like products and designs is looking more towards this, what is like a Star Trooper, like white and black. Like even the PS5 that came out kind of has that style too. Like everything's just mostly white and black recently. So I really enjoy playing with that one. And every time I post it on Instagram, people are like, what skin is that on the Ronin SC? And I'm like, it's not a Ronin and it's not a skin, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a white Moza Aircross too.
And if you could, just have one camera and one lens for a lifetime,
No.
what would that be? Yeah.
One only. Oh God. We just went over how I want all the cameras. Now I gotta pick just one. Ooh. I need a moment. Wow. I really need like a 24-70 for sure. I feel like that would cover mostly everything. It's just which camera would I choose? It's so mean. I want to know your answer after this too and make it fair. I would have to say, right now, I would have to go with the Z6. The Z6 was the 24-70 millimeter. The F4 though, unfortunately, I really like the 2.8 because of that shallowed up the field and it's better for low light. But because the Z6 is so good in low light anyway, I don't really have to worry about it. And I feel like the autofocus on the F4 is a lot better, and it's also smaller. So that's what I'd go with. Now I want to know your answer.
How do you manage that whole like weight compromise thing with cameras? They can get super heavy, but you can kind of go lightweight, but then again you got to like sacrifice for glass and that sort of thing. Does weight sort of bother you, or you're okay with that?
It only bothers me when I'm on a gimbal or I have to shoot an event, but quarantine happens, so there's not any events right now. But yeah, the bigger and heavier lenses are definitely always usually higher quality. So I really like my 24-70 G Master too, and that thing's like 2 pounds, and it won't fit on most gimbals. So yeah, I feel like you definitely need a variety of like a really lightweight lens for your gimbal movements and shots, and then have like heavier lenses. Oh God, like 70-200. That lens is so heavy too, and I hate carrying it. But it's such a good lens because of that range, and it's like a 2.8, and yeah, traveling with heavy lenses is hard. I don't like to do it, but if I know what type of shots I need to get, then I'll sacrifice and just suck it up. But you didn't tell me which camera you would pick.
Me?
What's the one camera you would pick? Yeah.
I would pick any of the Canon C200, C300, any of the Canon cinema cameras, because they come with everything. They come with the filters and everything like that. You don't actually really need to buy much for it.
True. But then how do you take photos? You can't take photos on it, or you just screen grab?
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
Well, you have your phone.
You caught me out there. Nah, honestly, like...
You get no photos forever. You only get video now.
Any of the Canon range, I don't know. I just like the dual pixel autofocus. It's a game changer.
Yeah. And the colors.
Yeah.
Those Canon colors still.
Yeah.
Still good.
So you get this question a lot, but what camera would you recommend for a beginner?
Your phone. Can I say your phone?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that a default? I would just say your phone. I feel like by now everyone has a decent camera phone. So, yeah, like I said earlier, shoot on that until you actually know what you want. And then if you've shot on your phone for a long time and you do want to upgrade, I feel like you have to just, I don't know if you need to rent it or try out your friends' cameras, but you just have to hold it in your hands and actually shoot with it because it's so different. You could read specs and look at reviews on YouTube all day, but when you actually hold a camera, it's so different. And I feel like if you don't even like enjoying it in your hands, you're never going to shoot on it, you know? Because even like the grip matters or the texture of the camera matters or where the buttons are placed so you could switch settings really easily. Like those things matter, I feel like, just as much as the features and the specs inside the camera. So rent, definitely rent and try them all out.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's
usually
really
suggest.
interesting. I totally agree with that, actually. That's a really good point. Because, like, sometimes you would buy into a camera system and then you just hate it and you can't really explain why. Yeah, it's
It's a
interesting.
feeling.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Yeah,
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 and then it'll just sit there and collect dust and you won't shoot anything on it. It's sad.
yeah. And it sounds like you're into your range and your zoom lenses and that sort of thing. Do you still use prime lenses?
I used to use, when I first started out, I used a lot of primes because in film school it's just all prime lenses, obviously, because they're cinema glass. And then after I got out of college, I was shooting a lot of event, like low light nighttime stuff. So you need prime lenses in those situations because you could get like a f1.4, which is really nice. So I shot on that. My favorite lens at the time was the Canon 24 millimeter 1.4L series. I used that for so many things because I was on the 5D Mark II, and I still have that lens now, just waiting for like a new Canon to buy. But yeah, I have that. I've never bought a 50 millimeter, which I think is crazy because it's just such a default lens that most people get. I just really like wide angles or really telephoto. So I really enjoy like an 85, 1.8 that I have on my Sony, like the 24 I mentioned. But yeah, recently I've been shooting a lot on zoom lenses because they're easy to travel with and I don't have to carry like four lenses as opposed to just maybe like two is what I do now.
Yeah. And in terms of thinking of the future, where do you see yourself in like 5 years' time?
Whoa, 5 years. I'm like so bad at these questions because
Yeah.
my life changes so dramatically even within like a few months. Like last year, I'd never thought I'd be living in LA, and here we are. So maybe I've always wanted to move to Asia. After LA, I want to move to Hawaii and then to Asia and hopefully like build Atola visuals more so I have a team because it's really hard doing stuff by yourself. I have a couple people on the team now, but I do want to grow it a little bit more. And hopefully maybe have a studio somewhere. That'd be nice because it's really hard keeping all the gear and shooting it at your house all the time. And it's hard to separate work and personal life when it's just all in one location. So maybe I'll have a studio loft somewhere in Asia and build a Tola out.
Yeah, I mean,
That'd be the
Asia
dream.
is, I mean, yeah, it's really a stunning place to film as well. You could get some amazing visuals there for sure. Yeah.
God, yeah, and you're close to everything.
Mm.
But it's hard to like move to Japan. Like you can only live there for 3 months at a time. So I got to figure it out first.
Yeah.
I don't know which country.
And I guess for someone that I get isn't really happy with where they're at the moment and that sort of thing, what sort of advice would you give someone that perhaps is like a super creative person, but they're just like afraid to take the leap?
Ah, yeah. It's hard. You got to get past that wall. So I feel like a lot of people are normally scared of like what other people are going to think, and especially if you're putting yourself out there on the internet, there's going to be trolls and there's going to be people that write stupid crap on your videos that don't even make sense or doesn't even relate to the video itself. I feel like you just got to it's hard in the beginning because I used to actually fight with these trolls and it made me feel so gross inside. But now it's been a few years and I just learn to ignore them, or if they're like really bad and not constructive criticism, I just delete the comment. But yeah, that part of the process is really hard. But I feel like when everyone's first starting out, that's what they worry about the most. But everyone I talk to, even myself that's been doing this now for a few years, that's like the smallest thing that we're scared of now. Like we don't even care at that point. We mostly care about like having this be sustainable and just staying happy and true to ourselves, and you not being overwhelmed by the workload and getting burnt out. Like that's what we're scared of now, is just being burnt out, not the trolls. So yeah, you just gotta somehow get past that wall and just know that even like the best filmmakers, the most famous celebrities, the like nicest people in the world still have haters, and you just gotta do whatever you want because people are gonna judge you regardless. So just be happy and figure it out, I guess. It's hard. It's harder to do than say, but know that we've all been there and have thought about it.